You are listening to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show.
All right, welcome to the Real Estate Growth Hackers live show. My name is Zach Hammer. Today I have with me James Miller of FortyWeb and Mortgage Marketing Alliance. So James is able to routinely generate hundreds of leads per month for his clients. He's working and focusing largely with lenders. He has been building out a community of lenders focused on effective lead gen, as well as finding real estate agent partners to grow their business with. James has been helping businesses with marketing for about the past decade, but has been focused on lenders for about the past 2 years. As a random, fun, and interesting fact, James is also a musician and has had a song featured in the Macy's parade for 3 years in a row. So that's some fun stuff going on there. Let's go ahead and bring James in and let's start the discussion. Hey, James, welcome back.
How's it going, my man?
long time no see.
I know.
Right? So that's pretty
Thanks
cool.
For having me.
Yeah, you got it, man. So that's pretty cool. We got this fun fact. So Macy's parade for 3 years, you've had a song. Yeah. Before we dive into the content, we've got to talk at least a little bit about that.
Of course. No, I had a few years ago had a band called Bad Lucy, and we toured around a little bit and played a showcase for the company Paul Frank. They've got the little sock monkey logo.
Yeah.
Right. So we did a showcase for Paul Frank Industries, and they contacted us as part of like a contest that we did with them. And they contacted us about 6 months after and said, hey, we want to put your guys' song in the Macy's parade with our huge Julius float while it's going down Main Street. So we were like, let's think about that. Okay.
Right.
They were in the parade for 3 years in a row, and they just kept using the song. And every Thanksgiving for 3 years, I was like on cloud nine when I heard it come on over the airwaves.
It is so fantastic. It's one of the most random things that you never
random, right?
Never expect to hear from somebody. It's like, yeah, I got a song that was in the Macy's parade for 3 years. Oh man, yeah. Did you see the year that they where the Macy's parade rickrolled everybody? That was a pretty funny one. It was like a Sesame.
I think it might have been
something. Yeah.
You remember what year it was? I feel like I remember that. It's pretty recent.
Yeah, I don't remember. I thought it was hilarious though when they did it. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into some of this content. So I've got some questions here lined up for you. I know you and I have had some conversations in the past about some of this, this bigger topic of real estate agents working with lenders and lenders working with real estate agents and kind of what that whole thing looks like and how it benefits everybody and all that kind of stuff. But before we really get into what I'd say is like the meat and potatoes of this stuff, one thing I do want to note for anybody that is watching this, as a real estate agent, one of the things that I have found most people struggle with is once you've generated the lead, once you've actually gotten that lead into your system, that follow-up process tends to be a struggle for most people. So our company, Real Estate Growth Hackers, has actually put together for you something that can help with that. And it's called Ultimate Lead Machine. It's a free course that you can get. All you got to do is say lead tips in the comments. If you happen to be listening to this on our podcast, you can also send the message lead tips to 444999. But if you drop that lead tips in the comments, then you are able to, we're going to message you. We're going to let you know how you can get access to that free course. We're showing you how you can process leads after you've generated them. So that's what we got going on. Free gift for anybody listening. If you want that, go ahead and drop that comment below, lead tips in the comment. So getting into the content itself though, James, where did you start, right? So like first, how did you get into marketing? And then what ended up pushing you into working with lenders?
Yeah, great question. I got into marketing by default as a musician, a dozen years ago when I was promoting my own brand and putting the word out and trying to, get people to attend live shows.
Right.
So, I kind of cut my teeth really early on, like, a decade ago, really just doing that online and in the digital space. And fast forward a few years around 2012, and I launched my own e-commerce, or I'm sorry, like a marketplace for vendors, for wedding vendors actually. And so, that was 2012 was around in the era of, organic reach on Facebook, right? Where it was sort of the golden age. A lot of people will think back to whenever you post something on your Facebook page and literally everyone who liked your page would see it.
Right.
And,
and then sort of golden days.
Yeah, the golden days. It's sort of overnight, Facebook flipped the switch and turned on, pay to play model. And a lot of people were really, upset about that. I, as a, somebody who understood the opportunity, jumped in and started, immediately playing around and trying to generate traffic to our website. So we had some really great success. We built a community of 400 vendors, in a matter of months, which was a recurring revenue stream for us. And so we had a lot of success early on. And, going forward just a little bit, I pivoted out of that business and some of my background is also in design, aesthetics, and branding. And so we, offered for, a number of different types of companies, branding consultations, as well as like just building websites for people. So, custom design, PHP sites like WordPress sites and doing branding. And we, in about 2014, mid 2014, early 2015, started working with a lender. And, they needed a lot of help with their online aesthetic and just the way that they're portraying themselves, out in the world, and sort of recognized some opportunities doing this because there was a huge gap when it came to actual direct response marketing or direct to consumer marketing, leveraging the channels like Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and just lead capture on their website. So we started, I transitioned from doing the design and doing just like support and maintenance to, we went from, FortyWeb doing that to actually offering lead gen as a service. Right. And so that's kind of brings us to current day. And so we work with a couple of mid-sized lenders at the top, and then, have trickled down and started working with individual LOs and branches to generate home buyer leads. I'll get in a little bit. I don't want to kind of tell everything, but we'll get into a little bit later, I'm sure, kind of the value proposition for the real estate agents, which are, the referral partners for loan officers. So, but I'll go ahead and pause there if you have any questions or, anywhere you want to steer this now, because I feel like I'll just keep talking otherwise.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to pull out of something that you just said, I think it's important. It's an important point for people to note. When you're using a site like Facebook or YouTube or anything that you're not paying to use and that you don't control the whole source, you should always know that you're just potentially, a moment away from them flipping a switch and making it that the marketing methods that you were doing no longer work. And so it's very important for people to consciously be focusing on not just building up an audience on something like Facebook, but to be using that to build a list that you can continually market to, whether it's emails or phone numbers or even addresses, but an actual contact list of people that are interested in hearing your offers, that are interested in hearing your information. And so you mentioned very specifically, your switch was to turn from just relying on the free organic traffic into actually running ads and generating those leads directly. But it's one of those things that's always so interesting to me. People, I know for a while online they were calling it like digital sharecropping, where the basic idea is you're building your audience in somebody else's land, and so you got to have a plan of action to get people off the platform and into something that you can control. That's not to say you don't do it, but you just have to have that plan to transition people. So it's an important point just to draw from your history there. But yeah, I know one of the things that you're having a lot of success with right now is actually generating some leads for these lenders, largely going after renters and home buyers, right?
Right. So yeah, one of the things. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we probably don't need to go too deep into that. I know you and I actually put together some information on how people can do that exactly. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about that about that concept and explain how that's working well, because it's very relevant to the real estate audience. And then from there, we'll probably pivot a bit and get into specifically the whole lender real estate agent relationship and how that can go. But to start, let's talk a bit about that marketing strategy and how that's working.
Well, I think, in one of the things that you just mentioned in regards to sort of the ownership of the platform and the benefits of operating within an ecosystem like Facebook, for example. And this always reminds me of something that Gary Vee likes to say, which is, these platforms are attention based. So what is actually all advertising is just buying attention and going where attention is cheap. And right now, Facebook, attention on Facebook is fairly cheap. You look, a decade ago or a little less, where everyone was spending money on Google pay-per-click and investing in, keyword in sort of, that space and SEO.
Right.
And it got over time more and more expensive. So now you have Facebook where everyone's sort of playing. The cost is going up, and we're seeing that across the board. However, it's still very, very cost effective, and we're getting tremendous, success in terms of, a provable ROI with, spending on Facebook, and particularly in the mortgage and real estate industries where, the payoff is so huge. So it's a matter of, and to talk specifically about what we're doing, it's very, from everything from top of funnel all the way down to, the interactions that are so important, that are more high touch type interactions. But where we get the cheapest leads is obviously at the top of the funnel, where I think, a lot of people don't spend as much time and effort or in energy because they see it as a waste of time. When in actuality, as long as you have a plan to follow up, as long as you have an automation in place, then you can leverage that so that, your time isn't wasted on new home buyer leads, renters who are just kind of, window shopping, right? You shouldn't spend your time speaking to them. You should put them in some type of a sequence that follows up, that keeps them top of mind. And so that's sort of what we're doing. And specifically around the topic of how, we're helping our lender partners and also bolstering the relationship. So what's specific to your audience with the real estate agents that might be watching this,
right?
It is being able to provide value, to a real estate partner on a number of different levels, not just the fact that we're generating leads to hand off to them, but also that our clients, and specifically the ones that we like to work with, are multi-state lenders, are ones that have very unique type products where they rarely, our clients rarely lose out on a loan because of some kind of niche-y product that they can't meet, or some kind of guideline they can't meet. Let's say, for example, you get a client who's had a bankruptcy or a short sale, and it's going to be very difficult to do a deal for them if they've done that in the last couple of years. The lenders that we like to work with are lenders that can do those types of deals,
right?
And do it in multiple areas, not just in their own backyard. So that kind of, in a nutshell, is a value proposition. We're generating leads so that we can share that and hit the lead from two angles. Like our clients are hitting them, the real estate agents are hitting them, so that they're making that association, and it just makes for a richer experience and a more a better ROI. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a couple of things that you mentioned. Actually, I want to dive deeper into. So you've got, okay. So, and by the way, before we get into any of this stuff, any of these questions, one thing that anybody listening should note is that, neither James nor I, we're not lawyers. We don't play one on TV. Any sort of partnership in terms of a lender, real estate agent sort of thing is going to be subject to to RESPA, to some of these regulations that are going to play how you can actually build out these relationships. So do note, don't take what we're saying as a direct go out and do it without doing your due diligence and checking the laws in your area and making sure that everything's up to stuff in that way. So definitely consult legal counsel to make sure of any of this stuff that it's a good fit for you and what you need to do. So with that part out of the way, one of the big questions I think is you touched on this a little bit, but I'd like to get really specific about it. What are what are lenders specifically looking for in real estate agents to partner with, or maybe more so? And we could talk about this because I know right now part of what you've mentioned is that many lenders are kind of looking for any real estate agent. But what are the types of real estate agents that are really going to be the best long-term partners for lenders? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question. I think in the industry, it's been the norm, traditionally that loan officers, mortgage brokers rely on real estate and other referral partners for referrals, for clients. Right. And that, with the direct to consumer lead generation, we're sort of flipping the script on that. So the power balance is shifting. So right. Our clients can be a little bit more choosy about the type of real estate agents that they work with. And so right. Typically, what we're looking for in real estate partners and referral partners are, people who are willing to contribute, people who are savvy and forward thinking, who understand the digital space. Right. And the power of digital marketing and certain strategies to go direct to consumer, because, let's just be honest, it's easier, and it typically happens, and that's why the power balance is the way it is. It typically happens that, home buyers don't go and get a loan quote or estimate before talking to their agent, right? That's just the reality. They tend right. to sort of be tire kickers, these window shoppers before they get serious. Right. So it's always been that way, probably always will be. So, that's why mortgage officers and loan officers rely on those partnerships. And, what we seek to do is not necessarily flip the script on that, but at least to be a little bit more collaborative in our efforts so right. that, again, we're hitting them from both sides. We're making sure. And now also, I know that my clients don't particularly like it when real estate agents list multiple lenders as right. their partners. And the reason for that is that it's a little bit confusing if you're a home buyer to say, well, why should there be a choice? You should just work with sort of the best, lender, the best provider. You should have this kind of working relationship. Do you have, it's a bit of a confusing scenario. So, and that's not right. to say, I understand in some cases it does make sense. For example, and this is something that you and I talked about, is that one lender has niche products that the other lender doesn't have, right. but they like to work with the other lender because they're quick and they understand. Their communication might be better, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
My clients like to be, the people that we work with they like to be all in one. They like to have all the products. They like to be able to lend in all the states that you're in, and they like to be able to, provide the best experience.
And that's really going to be the best kind of relationship, regardless, right? Where a real estate right. agent is able to partner up fairly directly, fairly exclusively with one mm-hmm. agent, or not one agent, with one lender who can service all their clients. That they know what kind of what kind of communication is going to be there, how readily they're going to be able to close the business. They where that. Now I do know, I know there's some legal requirements in terms of as a real estate agent, I think you have to present more than one option. You have to present a list of options. But there is there's quite honestly, there's a big difference between saying, hey, here's a number of options. This is who I like. This is who I work with, versus having multiple lenders that you're kind of giving all your deals to in order to get that value back. And right. the reality, and you and I have talked about this, it doesn't work well that way. When it's from the real estate agent to the lender level, it kind of needs to be fairly monogamous unless there's a really clear, understood reason for why multiple lenders are coming into the picture. Otherwise, it's the motivation doesn't sound right. Especially when you look at if the lender is contributing, say, marketing dollars to the real estate agent, it's going to be really hard for them to feel comfortable with that if if they're kind of competing with multiple people for that same stuff.
Right.
So do note that. I mean, so the best, so to kind of put a bow on that part. So part of what we're saying is the best real estate agents that lenders are looking for to partner with, the ones that have the qualities that make those relationships last a long time. Those real estate agents are fairly monogamous and focused on the lender that they're working with. And those real estate agents are also already in motion, right? If you're the kind of real estate agent that is not doing much, if you're relying on your lender in order to get you into action, into business, and to start generating leads, that's probably not going to be that great of a relationship. The lenders are very often, they're looking to take somebody who's already performing decently at least and accelerate it rather than get somebody started from nothing. So knowing good marketing strategies, maybe doing marketing already, learning new marketing strategies, these are the kind of things that these long-term relationships with lenders are going to be looking for as a foundation with the real estate agents.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. And so now let's flip the look for now. So that's what lenders should be looking for in real estate agents. What should real estate agents be looking for in lenders? And I know you touched on a couple of these ideas, but let's note some of these things specifically.
Well, it all comes down to just one thing, I think, really. And it is, you want to partner with lenders who allow you to do more deals, right?
Right.
You don't want to lose deals due to your lender. And it happens all the time. I mean, whenever, not only just on a communication side, but also on a product side. So, if a lender has very, sort of strict guidelines, they are in a correspondent environment, they have to adhere to certain guidelines that are out of their hands, out of their control. If they have, if they don't have in-house underwriting, if they have to rely on somebody, far away to make sure to keep things moving, it comes down to having the ability to do more deals because of smooth back of house and because of products that get the deals done.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you and I have talked about this. It's the kind of thing, in any situation, it's all about optimizing how many of these criteria you can find, right? So you want to find somebody with as many of these criteria as possible, and that's going to be the perfect scenario.
Right.
But these are all the traits that you're looking for, right? So if you're working with a lender and say you already have that great relationship, they're already contributing to your marketing, but they're not able to offer some of these products, it might be worth talking to them to see if maybe they're able to find a way to offer more products, to have more solutions. If it's causing you enough trouble, it might be worth looking to find a different lender to work with, right? Like it's going to depend on the situation, but yeah. So the ability to basically close the business effectively, having a team to be able to handle the kind of business that you're looking to do, and this is one of the things that we've talked about too, right? Like making sure that you and the lender are in alignment on your ultimate goals, right? Because just in business, everybody has different goals. Some people they're looking to do kind of a set number of deals and they're not really looking to grow from there. Some people are looking to take it as high as possible. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely key. I think, you wouldn't have someone who's just a hobbyist in either, being an originator or a real estate agent working with somebody who strives to be a top producer. It's just not going to last. And I think this is part of what we talked about in terms of, making sure that when you sit down to meet with potential referral partners or a potential lender, that you really interview them and that you make sure that your goals are in alignment with their goals, and that, if they are, if they have high expectations or high goals set and you have high goals set, then that could be a good match. And if they don't match up, then, you want to look out for that. And I give the example of a number of years ago, I switched from Dropbox. I don't know if you guys does anyone use Dropbox? We've got a few people on here.
We got some live people. Drop it in the comments. If you use Dropbox, let us know.
Drop a 1 in the comments if you use Dropbox. I'm sure a lot of people do. There was another company that came along with a really awesome value proposition, which was unlimited storage forever and for only $9.99 a month. And so I looked at that and I was like, this is awesome. I got to have it. So I signed up. They were out of business within 2 years. So you have to understand that some people have high, they aim high, but you want to make sure you're partnering with people who are realistic, who can actually deliver, who have longevity. And one good indication of longevity is, how long have they been in business? How many people are on their team? How many deals do they do per month? Can they handle what you're going to be bringing to the table? So if you're a top producing real estate agent and you're working with somebody who's doing 20 deals a month, make sure you ask them, can you do 40? Because I'm going to bring you more. If it's going to be more than that, you need to ask those blunt questions. Exactly.
And a big part of this is going to be, in this process of finding the right partner, you're going to run into people who will say yes, that they can handle it, and maybe they can't. So there's always this really is. I mean, we've talked about this, and we're actually going to be putting together some information specifically on this. This really is. It's kind of it's like a dating process, right? Like you're doing some of your initial due diligence to see if it looks like it'll be a good fit, and there's some indicators that you can look for in that. But at some point, you're going to have to actually get out there and try some deals with these people and see, can they handle the process? Does the process scale? All that kind of stuff. And you may find that when the rubber, meets the road, that they're not able to deliver on what they said, despite, your best efforts. But all of this is about stacking as many things in your favor as possible in order to give you the best chance of finding that right lender who's going to be able to scale with you, who's going to be able to support your business, who you're going to be able to support their business, and really have a great relationship that way. So yeah, it's such an important element. It's not, it's not just about finding the right partner. It's about being the right partner. And that goes both ways, right? You want to find the right lender. You want to be the right real estate agent. And it's so important to make that process work. So moving on from this, one of the things that we're, I'd like to talk about, and to help people with is how to start those relationships, how to find those lenders, how to find the right lenders, that kind of thing. We'll dive into that in just a second. Again, real quick, before we get into that, one thing that I want to remind everybody of, if you are generating leads, so if you're using these strategies and working with lenders and you start generating more business, more leads, one of the things that you're really going to run into is what do I do with these leads after I've generated them? What does that process look like? What do I do with people that I can't get on the phone? What do I do with people I get on the phone, but they aren't ready to convert yet? And so we actually answer that question for you in Ultimate Lead Machine, and we put that together as a completely free course. You can get access to that right now. All you got to do is drop a comment in the comments below that says lead tips, LEADTIPS. If you comment that, then my team will reach out to you and we'll tell you how you can get access to that free course. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then you can also send a text message with the message lead tips, LEADTIPS, to 444-999. That's one word, lead tips, to 444-999. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about how does this actually work? So say I'm a real estate agent. I feel like I found the right lending partner. What does it actually look like to start this relationship? Where do I start? Kind of what does that look like?
Taking you from the beginning of the process. So, really you want to look for certain attributes before even reaching out to, a potential lender partner, because I'll tell you, probably from your experience, if you're watching this as a real estate agent, you might be thinking like, why in the heck would I reach out to a lender? They're always hitting me up. So actually that might be a really good place to start, is go and look at people who have been sort of reaching out to you. Do a little bit of research and look for the following characteristics. Number one, you want to make sure that they are in a direct environment, that they're an actual mortgage bank. And the reason for that is if they're a correspondent lender, they're going to just be severely restricted in terms of what they can get done for you. And so if you work with a partner who is in a true direct bank that can actually, appeal, I think it's I forget the exact process and the terminology, they can actually go to a board and appeal there's a process that they can go through and appeal if something gets turned down.
Right.
And actually, it's just going to translate to more deals getting done for you. So that's number one. You want to make sure they're a true direct. And number two, you want to make sure that they have an assortment of products, not just your standard Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie products, but an assortment of niche products. So I'll give you an example of one that is, really great that we've seen, do really well on, social media for generating leads. Not only that, but also just getting deals done. And it's a 100% doctor loan product. So if you're a doctor, you could be a chiropractor, anything with an MD distinction, a dentist, a chiropractor, a family practitioner, then they're offering a specific product for you that offers 100% financing, that excludes student loan debt from the debt to income ratio, that also excludes PMI. So you can afford more homes. I'm doing the pitch. I'm doing the whole, this is what our Facebook advertising says. It's a great product, and it opens doors for our loan officers because not a lot of people offer it. So that's one. There's another one called I forget the term, the exact name of the product, but essentially it's and I mentioned this earlier, it's for those who have been through a bankruptcy or had a short sale in the last 2 years. So if you've ever had a client who came to you and said they had a bankruptcy and you kind of were like, well, my lender can't really do that. So the bottom line here is you need to make sure you're looking for a partner who can do creative deals, because that translates to more revenue for you, more deals getting done. So that's the bottom line. And then the third component, and this. Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick thing I want to throw in on that too is that some of these programs, some of these things that allow lenders to do more deals, they also give you really effective marketing strategies to get more leads yourself too. So targeting doctors specifically and doing those kinds of Facebook ads where you're going after that specific market and saying, hey, we've got a great way to get you in a home that lets you not have to factor in student loan debt, that lets you not have to pay P&I to keep your payment lower. If you're interested in that, reach out to us, right? So partnering with the right lender not only gets you more opportunities. So if you just happen to get a doctor as a lead, if you happen to know a doctor who's looking for a house, that kind of thing, not just in those cases, but you can use these as specific strategies to go out and find the business that, maybe that's the only thing that's holding them back. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. That's great. So many ways to leverage it.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that because I think that's so important. Actually, if you partner with one of my clients, we would give you the funnel that's generating leads for that and reliably generating leads for those types of products. So that's another thing is so the third piece is that you want to make sure that whoever your lender is actually doing direct to consumer lead gen, that they're actually investing dollars on digital advertising, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is, that they're actually doing something to bring you clients, because there needs to be some give and take, right? It wouldn't be a good relationship if this was a dating relationship. It wouldn't be good if it was one-sided and only one person was bringing something to the table. You want to make sure that both parties have something to offer, and everyone's going to be happier as a result.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you have both people being proactive, doing things, growing, that the synergy that comes into that is so much more powerful than one person just waiting and you doing all the work to bring it along. And regardless of which direction that's coming from, if the lender has all the creative marketing ideas and you're just sitting waiting for them to bring them to you, you're going to be held back. If you've got all the creativity and you don't have a lender that can kind of add value to that situation too, so much that's going to be holding you back there. So let's say that we found, what appears to be the perfect lender, right? Everything on paper looks right. What do we do from there? What's our next step? How do we start trying to feel this out and see if this is going to be a good relationship?
So, you want to strike up a conversation, whether by email or by just picking up the phone and calling them. Like I said, you probably have messages in your inbox right now from lenders. So if you can do your research and find, that, and you find that some of those actually meet some of those criteria, then go ahead and reach out and start the conversation. And, because it's not only important what their lender looks like and what type of products and what type of marketing they're doing, but you want to make sure that you get along with them because you know, you're going to be doing business with them on a daily basis. So it's somebody who is an extension of your team, and you want to make sure that, you know, they're a solid, you know, that this person is solid in terms of, you know, their ethics, in terms of their, you know, just their work ethic, their dedication to the business. And so, you know, you might you might initiate a dating period before you actually, you know, go steady or whatever.
Right.
I just say go steady. That's like what my parents used to say. But basically, you know, before you commit, before you get married, you want to make sure you go on enough dates. You want to make sure that you do some deals together and see, because, you know, people can talk a big game, but at the end of the day, it's when the rubber meets the road. You know, when you start doing deals together, are they actually delivering on what they've said? Because a lot of people will overpromise and underdeliver. You want the opposite of that. You want underpromise and overdeliver. And so, yeah, that's that.
Awesome. So, and one thing I want to throw in here real quick too. I know we're going to talk a little bit at the end about kind of you know, where people can connect with you and that kind of thing. But since it's so relevant to this part of the conversation, I do want to throw it out there. I've got your Facebook link for Mortgage Marketing Alliance. Would that be the best place for people to reach out to you? Because I know one of the things that you can actually help people with as well is if they reach out to you. You can connect them to lenders that are interested in this kind of stuff. You can connect them to lenders that are already open to these kinds of arrangements, that are already doing these kinds of deals, have these sorts of products available, right?
Yeah, and one of the great things about, you know, not only do we have you know, clients in multiple regions, multiple states, but we also work with the only type of clients that we work with are clients that are, again, that meet these criteria, but also another criteria that I didn't mention because it's not as relevant perhaps, but it is in this case, is that they're they don't have the licensing requirements. So if somebody, you know, I can connect you with somebody who's in a different state to do deals in your state if you get along with them better. Chances are we have somebody where you live, but you know, if we don't, then we can match you up with somebody who can still do deals. And some of these creative deals, like the doctor loan and equity builder and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. Reach out to your Mortgage Marketing Alliance or FortyWeb is sort of the parent company.
Yeah, so I dropped the Mortgage Marketing Alliance Facebook page down below here.
Cool.
So if you guys have anybody, you know, anybody watching this, if you're looking for maybe a shortcut to finding some of these lenders that might be a good, you know, a good source of partnership, then you can reach out to James and he is more than happy to connect you to some good options. Now, again, just like you were mentioning, it's going to be like anything, right? Like you can't 100% vet everybody to make sure that they're 100% going to be, the right kind of people to partner with. But you can at least start with some of these fundamentals of the right, you know, having some of these packages, having some of these loans, loan products that they're able to do, that kind of stuff, being open to marketing arrangements, being open to co-marketing, co-branding, those kinds of things. So anyway, so to shortcut kind of some of maybe finding those lists, that could be a good option there. So you can see down in the comments below, there is a link for you to be able to message James. So let's go ahead and continue on and talk a little bit more about, so say we've gone through this process, right? Say maybe we've dated the lender, we've got a good relationship, it's working well with them. How do we make sure that lasts, right? How do we make sure that stays long-term, that stays effective long-term?
You know, I think one of the best ways to ensure the longevity in the relationship is gonna be in you know, making sure not only that while the deals are in process, that things are running smoothly, that there's a good you know ratio of you know, closing deals, but also that you're you know, working together to share what's working for you in terms of doing you know, lead generation activities on, you know, whether it's Facebook or whether it's YouTube or whatever types of strategies you're using. And now it's, as I mentioned kind of earlier, and you're seeing this as well. And I think a lot of digital marketers are tuned into this fact, but it's getting a lot more competitive on Facebook. So you're going to need to get more creative. And so you got to be constantly thinking about sort of what can keep you ahead of the curve. So right now we're doing a Facebook Live because Facebook loves live content and they boost it out a lot for a lot lower cost. That's something that you can consider doing. You need to be thinking about what type of creative content can you be putting out, because the truth is traffic, buying traffic on Facebook, getting leads, generating leads on Facebook is getting more expensive. And so if you can find a differentiating factor or factors, then you're going to set yourself apart. And I'll give you an example. Well, actually, this is a perfect example right here. Partnering with a real estate agent. Let's say I'm a loan officer, Zach's a real estate agent. We go live. We talk about the products we can do. We talk about what zip codes have the best deals. We talk about things that are relevant to both of our audiences. Right. And and that content, by the way, lives forever, and it stays on your page, and it's something you can share, and people will share, and it's free. So why not do it? And so it's easy. What I like to say, and I recommend this, that all of my clients do this. Whenever they come to me and go, James, I have no idea, what type of videos to make. I don't know what kind of content to make. And I say, don't think about it, just do it. And just the best way to make content is to come up with some type of a format. Don't plan it out in ahead of time too much, because then you'll overthink it. Just do it. And you'll be surprised with the result, pleasantly surprised. Another example I'll give you, and this is because I'm tuned into the loan officer niche. So there might be something, I'm sure there's something like this for real estate. I'll think of it in a minute, because I know there's one, but go and check out, this is a loan officer team, a branch. I don't know the name of the lender, but they're out of Florida. And if you go on Facebook, look up the Savvy Loan Officer. They've built this these 8-minute webisodes, and they have about half a dozen of them now that are HGTV style. So it's behind the scenes. They're talking about their business. They're working with real estate agents, training them. They're talking about Facebook ads. They're talking about, it's hilarious. It's unapologetic, and it's brilliant. And so that type of content going forward is going to be what differentiates you from your competition. You probably think of something for real estate. I'm trying to remember the name of the individual. I know Curator is big. They're big on that type of content. But that's just an example. And in terms of making sure that you have these long-lasting relationships, it is a long-term investment. And so you need to think of it in the long term. You don't need to think of it just about what can I get this month? What can I do today that will last, years into the future?
Yeah, exactly. And the other aspect of this is a lot of what there's a saying that what got you here won't get you there, right? But there's actually some truth in the opposite in this case, which is some of the same things that we mentioned for what makes a good lender partner, what makes a good real estate partner, are also what makes it a good long-term relationship, right? Like as a real estate agent, continuing to learn, continuing to find new ways to market, continuing to take your business to the next level and constantly be iterating and improving, that's going to be part of what keeps that relationship good. And same thing with the, being a lender that is constantly able to find new products, that has new things coming out, that's trying new things and is being proactive. Those things help to keep that alive. And the same thing, maintaining that, monogamous relationship is super important to keep that relationship working well long term. Now, the reality is that no matter what, people ebb and flow, goals change, lives change. And so there does always come a time in most relationships, especially business relationships, where you do, ultimately have to separate. And what's nice to know is that by going through this process, even the first time, even figuring it out the first time, you get so much better at learning how to be the right kind of partner, learning what kind of partner is a good fit for you, and being able to find the next partner very effectively as well. So, none of this is a perfect end all be all. Chances are you're not going to find one person who's going to be your sole lender partner forever. But the goal is to keep that focus and to know that while you're working with somebody that it's a good idea to have a solid partnership there. It ends up working better for you. It works better for them. And ultimately, I mean, it ends up working better for your clients too, right? Like having
really the bottom line.
Yeah, where you know the quality that you can expect, you know how that deal is going to get done, you know what their experience is going to be like, that kind of thing. That's I mean, foundationally to all of this. If you're not serving your customers well, your clients well, then none of this is for, it
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Think of it from the standpoint of just being a business owner. Let's say, for example, that you are you're a builder. And as a builder, you partner with certain general contractors who put on the roof, who put in the cabinets, who do the countertops. And you're going to make sure that you work with people who do a great job, because ultimately it's going to reflect poorly on you if they don't, and it might cost you. So, you want to make sure that whoever's doing the countertops doesn't delay, move in, right? And I think that's a perfect example, or just completely destroys something, in the process of doing what they're supposed to do. And so obviously if something, adverse happens, hopefully you can recover from that. Hopefully you can pivot and start working with somebody who does a better job. But ultimately you want to work with that one provider that does really great work, who's reliable, who's gonna, who's been in the business, who's licensed, bonded, and insured, who is gonna do great work for you. So,
absolutely. And so I think that's a great place to not wrap up the show, but to sort of wrap up this section. We've taken you from beginning to end of showing you what kind of lenders are maybe a great fit for you, what kind of real estate agent you need to be a great fit for a lender. We've shown you how you can start that relationship and how you can take that and leverage that, so that you're partnering with the right people, and really getting a good amount of value out of that process, that relationship, and making it a lifetime potential relationship where you're able to help them grow their business, they're able to help you grow your business in so many ways, whether it's through products or even many lenders are willing to contribute ad budget. I don't think we even really talked about that, but to contribute ad budget for like co-branding and co-marketing, where you're marketing together. So when you find those right partners, it can be so powerful. And again, I dropped the link down below in the comments to Mortgage Marketing Alliance, James' page centered around kind of this mortgage industry side of things. If you're looking for an easy way to find some of these good lending partners that have some of these foundational keys, reach out to James, and he can definitely connect you to some good potential options to consider. So now let's move into the next section, which is just kind of like some rapid fire questions. As we're moving into this section, anybody that's watching live, if you're not watching live, if you're watching a replay, feel free, drop a comment below, ask any questions that you may have, and we'd be glad to answer them live. If you want to, you can actually hop into the show itself. Let me go ahead and grab that link again, and I'll drop it down in here. I did already drop it in a while back, but you should be able to see that in the comments here in just a second. But you can actually join us live. You can come into our lobby. I can bring you on, and you can talk to James. You can talk to me. You can ask whatever questions you want. We'll have to deal with them live. So anyway, but let's go ahead and get into the kind of the quick fire, just interesting questions. So James, what are some of your favorite tools, your favorite whether that's software, technology? On the last episode that I did, we actually talked about specifically a journal, and just having a journal was a great tool. So what are some of the tools that for you that really help you to stay successful in your business, and that you think would be worth sharing with the Real Estate Growth Hackers community?
Oh, that's a great question. One that I don't think about because it's sort of automatic, right? Or all the tools that I use that I use every month. One of the things, it's interesting that you mentioned journal, because I used to be really like, I used to just really be all about like the online tracking tools, and like I use Project Management, sure we keep on top of it for our clients and we're checking things off. But honestly, like for whatever reason, the last like 3 months or so, I got a paper planner. And I literally live and breathe off of that planner. Every Sunday, I write everything down for the week that I'm focused on. And it's sort of how I gamify my week, is like being able to physically cross things off my list.
Right.
So it's interesting that you say that. I think a journal would be a good idea to sort of, remind myself of where I've, what the progress that I've experienced and where I've come from. As far as tools that I couldn't live without, definitely WordPress, definitely my WordPress websites. We build landing pages just all day, every day, and I'm always rapidly creating landing pages in WordPress. If you're new to WordPress and you're not as familiar, then I recommend Lead Pages. If you want to graduate from there, ClickFunnels is really great for creating landing pages. And then, for email automation, ActiveCampaign, I couldn't live without that. It's a little bit like Infusionsoft, but not as confusing. In my opinion.
We call Infusionsoft Confusionsoft.
Yep.
And yeah, for anybody who didn't quite get that not transition, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but yeah, WordPress is a software platform. You don't want to get confused. WordPress.com and WordPress.org are two different things. WordPress.com is a platform where the company Automatic, who's behind WordPress, will actually host the blog for you. You have a whole lot less controls. It's a potentially a decent way to get started and have something. But what James, I'm sure, is mainly talking about is the WordPress.org platform, which is actually software that you can deploy onto your own server and use it as kind of the back end for your site to host your content, your blog, your pages. There's lots of plugins that allow you to, as a real estate agent, say, put in like an IDX and build out, by IDX to host listings and that kind of thing. But also ways to generate leads and that kind of stuff. So that's what WordPress is. Lead Pages is very specifically, it's like a page builder. So it's all internally hosted. You pay for that platform, and like you don't have to get extra hosting. They host it for you. It kind of lets you build out. Really what it's focused on is it's focused on landing pages. But with Lead Pages, you could fairly effectively build out a whole site if you really wanted to. And ClickFunnels is kind of the same thing, but a little bit more advanced. So yeah, anyway, just in case anybody missed what those different things are and kind of where they fit. But yeah, so continue. ActiveCampaign, and then what after ActiveCampaign? Or is there?
ActiveCampaign is a can of worms. I mean, that's such an amazing platform. It's a CRM, it's automation, it's list building. It's literally everything. And one of the things I really love about ActiveCampaign, it makes my day exciting because like whenever I put up a new campaign for a client, I like to keep tabs on it and make sure that it's running smoothly. And so I'll put in a little notification. So every time a lead comes in, I get a text message. And actually, literally, while I've been sitting here, I've gotten like 3 or 4 off of the campaign that I'm running. So every time my phone goes off and I get that notification, it just brings a smile to my face because I know like I'm bringing value to my clients. So ActiveCampaign, I couldn't live without it. So if you're using a platform like MailChimp or something like Constant Contact or something, I strongly recommend checking out ActiveCampaign because it's just a powerhouse when it comes to automation and sending out emails and notifying teams in real time. It's a full solution for automation and CRM.
Yeah, and one thing to note, if you so James said something very specific, and I want to point this out. I don't think he said it this way intentionally, but I'm gonna draw some conclusions from it. So if you're already using MailChimp, then ActiveCampaign might be worth considering. The key thing there is already using. If you have a MailChimp account and you're not using it and you're not doing anything, ActiveCampaign isn't going to solve that problem for you, right? Like you actually have to be using these platforms to get the value out of it. So don't think that ActiveCampaign is going to magically fix your problems if you're not actually using the platform that you have. So it's a great tool if you're doing email marketing, if you're leveraging automation, that kind of thing, or if you want to bring automation into a business, that kind of thing. One thing to note for the real estate audience, ActiveCampaign is a fantastic platform. You will have to massage it a bit to really get all the features that you could potentially get out of like a real estate specific CRM, but you gain a whole lot of benefits, right? You gain a whole lot more automation than you can do in some of the other platforms. So hopefully at some point we get some more direct integrations with some real estate specific CRMs and automation platforms, that kind of thing. But yeah, depending on how you set up and what you're doing, ActiveCampaign may be a very good platform if you're looking to add some there.
Right. It depends on your objectives in your business. Right. But, for my business, what we primarily do, and we do automation for our clients, but some of our clients already have the automations built out. So all we're doing is lead delivery. So literally I just send a notification to my clients with a lead, and they follow up. They put that into their own drip, or whatever. So there's a handful of clients that we actually have, really sophisticated automations built out over the course of 6 to 12 months. So once somebody gets into that sequence, they stay in touch with them over the long haul. That's the white glove service. We don't do that as the norm, but we do definitely use and leverage automation, and in terms of keeping in touch with and staying top of mind with potential clients who are on the fence, or maybe they're past clients, just keeping them in the loop in terms of what's currently going on in the market and what kind of products are available, and just staying top of mind. So there's so many tools out there. That's the one we use. But as you mentioned, it kind of depends on your business objectives as to which one you go with. What else I couldn't live without, of course, is Facebook Ads Manager. We use Power Editor. But if you're a real estate agent, if you're a loan officer, and you're dabbling with Facebook ads and you're boosting posts and stuff like that, you probably heard of Ads Manager. You better get in, into Ads Manager and start playing around with it. I highly recommend it. I live in the back end of Facebook in the business manager side. Obviously couldn't do without that, but that probably goes without saying.
Yeah. And for anybody who's not familiar, so on Facebook, a lot of agents' first foray into running ads is just by boosting posts on Facebook. And I would kind of equate boosting posts as it's like training wheels, right? Like it gets you started, it gets you going. It's not the full thing. Right. Getting into Ads Manager is more like having an actual full bike where you have more control. Right. They've taken away some of the safety, but also given you more adaptability. And then Power Editor is like you somehow managed to throw a motor on it, and it's just you can test all sorts of different things. It's going to be confusing as all get out and whatnot. It's actually a lot better than it used to be, but for most real estate agents, honestly, just the Ads Manager by itself is probably good enough. But taking that step above from boosting posts is worthwhile. Now, quite honestly, and I don't know about you, James, but I know for me, I still boosted posts, right? Like they have their place, they have their use. It's just you are limited in what all you can do on boosted posts. So depending on your needs, you might need to go to Ad Manager to get it done.
Filter myself and not use any curse words, so maybe later you can boost this if you'd like. But learned that the hard way. Started doing live broadcasts and throwing F-bombs out there on Facebook. It's like, nope.
Not allowed. No boosting allowed.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and dive into the next question. So who are some of the people that have influenced you, that have influenced you in business, that have influenced you in life? Who are some of your mentors, the people that you look up to or follow, or that kind of thing? And I don't mean that in the stalkerish sense. I mean inspiring people.
Inspiring people. I think at risk of, this is something that everybody might say. Maybe it's just me, but I'm a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk and his motivation and just, his whole attitude of hustle and and just not persistence, basically. At the end of the day, it's all about persistence, and making sure that whatever it is that you're doing, one of my mentors told me, this is somebody that you don't know, so I won't mention the name, but one of my mentors actually, asked a question when I was talking about my business goals and objectives, and he asked me a question that stuck with me, which was, you need to think about what life you want to live and what kind of what your life looks like. So imagine what your ideal life looks like, and work backwards to that, right? Like in this business, I mean, and as a real estate agent, as a loan officer, you meet lots of people, and I've met lots of people. I've met, and I know people who are making $50K a year, who are some of the happiest people that I know. I've also know several people that are making multi-seven figures who are also miserable. And so it comes down to, like, when you wake up every morning, what gets you out of bed? It's not going to necessarily, so you just have to think about that and map your activities, your daily activities to that, right? If it's just like, if it's 250,000 a year, then it's that. If it's 50,000 a year, then it's that. Whatever it is, make sure that you're mapping your activities to your happiness goals, like, as opposed to, trying to just like get on the hamster wheel and make as much money as possible, because money doesn't equate that, So at the end of the day, like, I want to be happy when I get out of bed, and I want to be happy when I go to bed, and everything in between. And I'm fortunate to be able to say that I am. And I would hope that for everyone else. So that's,
Cool. What are some of the books that you've been reading that you would recommend that you think particularly would be worthwhile and useful to the real estate growth hackers audience? And by the way, whether this is recent that you've read it or a long time ago,
I'll recommend one.
Let's at most let's say three. Let's say your top three.
I was just gonna throw out one because so there's a book called Scientific Advertising, which if you're So if you're getting into advertising, if you're into the mindset of just basically selling through words, then Scientific Advertising is a great place to start, and probably something you could read several times. It's a really short read, but it's a very dense read at the same time. It's not a this didn't come out in this century. This is like the early 1900s, but by one of the greatest advertising minds of all time, really. And what else? Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson is also a really good one if you're looking for something more current. I also like, and this is my third one, I also like The Obstacle is the Way, in terms of getting into the mind.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
That's are three. Ryan, why am I forgetting his name? It is Ryan, right? Ryan something?
I believe so. I'm off the top of my head. It's sitting on my nightstand. I read that. It's such a great motivational, great mindset book.
Let me look it up.
For me, I got to throw in, because what gets me going every day is a little bit of music. So I'm really into right now. Bear, Portugal the Man, Amped Up, little Father John Misty. I just love music, and music kind of like is always going in the background whenever I'm working. So
absolutely. And it's Ryan Holiday, by the way. For
Ryan Holiday. Okay.
Yeah. Ryan Holiday actually has a lot of good books. He's got Obstacle is the Way is great. Ego is the Enemy is like a kind of a follow up. It's still on a Stoic philosophy. And then he's got a really good book on growth hacking, and then a book that kind of went into some of his sort of darker history in marketing. That's called Trust Me, I'm Lying. But all really good. All of them really good. Ryan Holiday's a good author. But yeah, and I'm the same way. Music is one of those things. It appeals to a certain part of your soul that just makes you come alive and can energize you even without just with its presence. So yeah, fantastic. Okay, and so let's go ahead and wrap up the main idea here. So for the listeners of this show, if you had to have them have top three, the only say they're only watching this last segment or just before they even get into this, what are the three things that you would hope anybody watching this broadcast takes away from what you've had to say?
Okay, so the three things as a takeaway from this, okay, it would have to be probably, that partnerships and the right kind of partnerships are key to your success, are key to, the growth of your business. And you can't do it alone. You can't do it with the wrong partners, and you need to associate with people who bring you up and who have your similar goals. So
Right.
that's number one. Number two is you need to be thinking and planning 5 steps ahead. And you need to be understanding, what to help differentiate you from your competition, and help you in the long run.
Right.
And investing your time. And I guess this might be number 3. Where are you investing your time? Where's the best place to invest your time in terms of the greatest ROI, not just today and tomorrow, but next year, right? So what kind of activities can you do daily,
Right.
weekly, to leverage your time wisely, right? So the example that we talked about here were, live broadcasts and video content, any kind of content. You do it one time and it lives for a lifetime. So that's a great way to leverage your, exactly. So those are the 3 takeaways off the top of my head.
Cool. So I'm gonna restate those real quick. So I've got partnerships are key to your success. Finding the right partnerships, establishing those relationships, finding the right people to work with are so important for taking your business to the next level. We've got number 2, think and plan 5 steps ahead. Be thinking about how you can differentiate your business, how you can make yourself unique in the marketplace and constantly growing to be doing that. And then 3, where are you investing your time? And specifically focusing, are you investing your time into leverage things? Are you investing your time into things that will pay off years to come? Or are you investing your time into things that may only pay off in the next 5 minutes? Because the more that you can be investing in those long-term things, the better your business is going to be. So I think that about covers the top 3 takeaways. So before we wrap up and head out, where can people connect with you? So I know I dropped a link below. Where else should they connect with you? What do you want to let people know about what you're doing? All that kind of stuff. And go ahead.
Yeah. You can connect with me on, so my primary business, FortyWeb.
Oh, and James, you're cutting out on on my end, of course. Right when we get to the part where you get to talk about what's going on in your business. You're cutting out. Let's maybe try again. I don't know if that's just me or if that's coming through on the stream too.
Can you hear me okay now?
It seems to be okay. Here, real quick, I'm going to kick you out and then bring you back in. Let me see if that fixes it. Okay, I'm bringing him right back in here. Okay. Oh. Okay, let's see. Oh. Okay, I lost him for a second there. Might need. Oh, okay. So it looks like his phone maybe dying or maybe about to die. So let me. I'll go ahead and for now wrap up for him. So I know, like we mentioned, we already talked a bit about what James has going on. Actually, here, look, it looks like he was able to hop back in. I think maybe he ran to his computer real quick. Okay, let me bring him back in, and here we go. We got you in another room. We've got a different side of James Miller.
My battery is flashing at me, so in case it was that, I came in my office and plugged in. So so you can connect with me on FortyWeb.com is what I was saying. FortyWeb is is my company. We're the service provider, the lead generator. Mortgage Marketing Alliance is sort of a new wing of FortyWeb, if you will, specifically catering to loan officers and to train loan officers on doing the things that we're doing so that they can be empowered to go out and generate leads for their business, and with strategies, understanding strategies and sort of working together to understand strategies that are working, And you can reach out to me on there. You can reach out to me on FortyWeb. My email is james@fortyweb.com. And, hopefully we can connect at some point. And if any of this resonated with you, again, Zach, thanks so much for having me on, man.
Absolutely. And I just popped that onto the screen. Is that correct, James at FortyWeb there?
That is correct.
All right, awesome. And James, thank you so much for coming on. I think this was super valuable, super interesting information for the people in the audience here. Thanks so much again. We'll have to have you back on again sometime and maybe talk about some of these other things, maybe how some of the new tests are going, some new campaigns you're running, all that kind of stuff. Because just like we're advising for real estate agents and for lenders, both you and I are always testing and trying new things. So it'll always be a changing, developing thing to see where business is going. So as everybody else, as you are on your way out, again, one more thing in case you haven't done it yet, and I don't know why you haven't because it's pretty awesome. If you want to know more about how you can process leads once they've been generated, right? So we talk about strategies all the time on this show and other ways and other parts of our process. We talk about strategies for how you get leads in at the top of your funnel. But I see so many agents struggle with that process of what do you do once you've got the lead, right? What do you do to take them through the next level and actually turn it into business? Well, that's what we've answered. That's what we cover for you in Ultimate Lead Machine. And that is a free course that you can get today. All you have to do is type lead tips in the comments below. Now, that it's only going to work if you do this on Real Estate Growth Hackers Facebook page. So on facebook.com/Real Estate Growth Hackers, comment below this video, and you'll be reached out to by my team, and we'll explain how you can get that free access to Ultimate Lead Machine. So again, thank you so much, James, for coming on. It was great to have you, and we'll see everybody next time. On our next episode, I think I've got Jason Abrams is who's coming on next. So be sure to like the page if you haven't already, to be notified when we get that next one in and scheduled, so you can get notified and watch it. So one last question for you, James. Off the top of your head, do you have anybody in mind that you think would be a good fit to come on to this show and contribute to this audience?
Good question.
And if not, or if you want some time to think about it, that's more than fine too. But it's one of those questions I always like to ask. I want to see, I feel like when an interview goes well, when a process goes well, it's always a good time to see who else might be a good fit too. So
I'll message you offline, and if I think of anybody, yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. And again, everybody, thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm going to go ahead and boot James out. James, it was great having you on.
Thanks for having me.
I think I booted him a little bit too early, but thanks, James. And then I'm going to go ahead and boot myself back out. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this off. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Growth Hacker Show. Remember, done is better than perfect. To turn the marketing ideas and tactics you just learned into real growth for your real estate business, visit us at realestategrowthhackers.com. If you like this episode, consider sharing it with another real estate professional who could benefit from the information. Or maybe you'd like to subscribe to the show to never miss an episode. And you can leave a rating or review on iTunes with your biggest takeaway, helping this show to reach and help more people just like you. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.